Welcome to the Caldwell Podcast. We have Dr. French with us today. Dr. French, could you just tell us who you are, tell us a little bit about your story on how you got to where you are now, and we'll just start with that.
Well, I starts in eastern Idaho. So I grew up in Idaho Falls, in the Idaho Falls area. I'm a graduate of Idaho Falls High School. Go Tigers, right?
Nice, yeah.
And from there, I think it really starts with having influential friends in middle school and high school. So my friends were college bound, and no one in my family, immediate family, had really been college bound, but their families had been college bound. And I just thought, well, that's what I need to do. So I give them a lot of credit for that. From there, graduated and went on to Utah State University.
Okay.
Have a degree in business administration with an emphasis in marketing and economics.
Okay.
I went to work for a few years in retail, and retail industry is a little bit, things come and go. And I took the opportunity to, when the was closing their stores in California, because I was living in California at the time, I came back to Idaho looking for jobs and started substitute teaching while I was looking for a position in retail. And I fell in love with school. It's like kids were awesome, and I was subbing mostly in middle school, which is kind of crazy, and I really enjoyed it. So I took it upon myself to go back to school. I went back to Idaho State University and earned my degree, my bachelor's degree in K-8 education K-8 education. And then I went on to, I was blessed with a great job at Bonneville School District. So 8th grade, math, Rocky Mountain Middle School,
Okay.
and that's where I started. Coached girls basketball, 8th grade, and I'm a little competitive, and thankfully all those girls turned out fine. I'm thinking they grew up, and some of them were still in touch, so that's great. I went on from there. I had great administrators who encouraged me to go into administration. They said, you should be a principal, which, plant the seed. And I went back to Idaho State University and earned my master's degree in educational leadership. Became the principal of Rocky Mountain Middle School. First, I was an assistant for a year, and then they asked me to be the principal, which that was a big step. Very glad to do that. A few years later, I was asked to, at the district office level, as a human resource director for Bonneville, and I started to work on my EDS, my education specialist degree, and enrolled at Northwest Nazarene. From there, I felt like I should be a superintendent someday. So went on, earned my doctorate from Northwest Nazarene, and then I thought, well, you have it, you should probably interview. So I started to look for positions around the state, and that I interviewed in Caldwell, and I've been here since 2016.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's quite the journey.
That is. There's so much, there's detail in between, just all the great people you meet along the way.
Right.
So, and they help you and encourage you to become better at what you do. So that's another story for me.
Okay. So I heard from a little birdie that you ride horses, and tell us about that pastime or hobby
sure.
or life, I guess.
Sure. So my dad at the time, he has since retired. But at the time, he was part of Cattle Association, which is in eastern Idaho, Davis Lakes. They ran cattle. The association ran cattle from basically St. Anthony up into the Island Park area. And I love to ride. So I should say I'm the only daughter. I have 4 brothers. I'm the only girl in my family. And of the 5 of us, I am the one that loves to ride. And I will punch cows, I'll ride drag. I'll, do whatever what it takes to have cattle up from St. Anthony Island Park. And we did that for several years. And that's something that I look forward to. Since my dad's retired, it's now just really moving cattle around on his place. Mm-hmm. So I still try to get out and ride.
Dr. French, why don't you tell us a little bit about the school district, maybe some things that you'd like to highlight, and then maybe even some things where people commonly ask, maybe an FAQ, right? People commonly ask about this, and here's my answer, and maybe I could just point people to the podcast instead of having to answer it all the time. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So first off, I think I will just say Caldwell is the best experience I've ever had as a professional. I mean, the growth coming here, it's not necessarily, when you job, it's not supposed to be about you, but I could not, it was just a benefit to be here. So the district, we have 6 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, comprehensive high school, Caldwell High. It has been in existence since 1889. So the tradition, that's before Idaho was a state, we had Caldwell High School. And then we have our alternative high school, Canyon Springs High School, which does a phenomenal job helping kids who may struggle a little bit to get back on track and move forward. Things I appreciate most about Caldwell, the compression of the district. So about 5,600 students, but when you think of the district boundaries, it is very compressed. So we're surrounded by Valley View and Middleton and Nampa, and the square area is actually quite small, but the impact is great. So we serve a lot of students in a small, we're not rural, but we're considered rural. Does that make sense?
Right.
So our kids live in town. Some of the best things I think about Caldwell, since I've had an opportunity to be here, is introducing the agricultural program, Caldwell High. That has really taken off. You would be, we live in the ag center of Idaho. Canyon County is a big agricultural producing county. And now we have our students are having experiences both in animal sciences and in the horticulture end. So we're tapping our resources. So in a way, it's to help. There's just so many opportunities for students in the ag industry. So that's like one of my favorite. I think all of the CTE is probably right up there, giving students an opportunity to expand, like, oh, this is a possibility. The pharmacy tech program, I think that's important. But I will also say as well, just the sciences, the history program, our history department, and the collaboration. So that would be, to me, that's a key. What teachers coming together across the district within the schools, discussing how they can better serve the children of Caldwell, because we're very diverse, from one extreme to the other, and teachers having that opportunity. The school board's been very supportive of that time that teachers can talk about, to talk about how we help our children succeed. How do we help students get the next step? So those are a few things. I think fine arts, Caldwell High, our fine arts department is probably the best in the Treasure Valley. Definitely the best in this area. We are competitive with the large schools in any of the fine arts. I truly believe that. It's impressive, and we have just great people who see the potential and help students reach to that next level.
Right. So I would say there's a couple shout outs, I think, right? First, let's talk about your very impressive, underrated, under the radar, I feel like, soccer team, right, at Caldwell High.
I agree with you, and they had to earn that, right? So I have had individuals say, well, it's a cultural thing. Well, that may be true. Football is the sport of the world, right? You can go to Great Britain, go to Sweden. If we look at the FIFA Cup right now for the women, it's Australia and Spain.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the game of the world. But it's not necessarily a cultural thing. Those young men and those young women, they have to earn that. And a decade ago, our program was not where it is today. It took a lot of effort on the part of the athletes, the families, and the coaching staff to elevate their level of play to where they are state champions in soccer. They're competitive. The boys and girls teams are competitive, and they just represent Caldwell well. Yeah, we're really proud of them. And we'll shout out for them every time. But I think that speaks to all of the student athletes in Caldwell, right? So maybe not every team is a state championship team, but the dedication, the effort of families, athlete, the coaching staff, it just builds that community for Caldwell.
Right. And it's a great alternative, right? They get around other positive influences like their coaches or maybe some friends. And I know there's GPA minimums, right? It forces you to have to show up and try in school, so I think that helps out a lot.
Well, I think I will give credit to our athletic director, John Halleck. So when he became our athletic director, he put in a student athlete expectation. And it also provided, we knew they can do this. Our students can do this. They can be student athletes and they can do well in school. And as we discussed that, John made sure that we had tutoring in place. So a student athlete, maybe they're not able to compete yet, but it's important that they're the student and then the athlete, and just to help them show that they can excel in the classroom and on the field of play.
Right. Something else that I know that's going on, even at Caldwell High, is the Trio Upward Bound program. I think that's pretty special to see how excited that group is. And a lot of them join the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, and they are just world beaters. They're ready to attack the world and to try a lot of things. And I know that there's a student this past summer that went to his NASA internship.
That's right.
He went to Yale for his summer program, took some classes there. The previous year, you had a student that go to Princeton, and that one is actually going to kind of full ride. We actually had a podcast of them both earlier, but that's pretty special for those kids to be first generation college, students and some of them are, I know Jalissa, that's no debt, getting that degree. So tell us about how we got in touch with Trio Upward Bound and what it's doing for just the students here.
Sure. So when Trio was here, Upward Bound was in Caldwell High when I came in 2016, when I arrived in Caldwell. And I had no idea what it was, right? I mean, Josh Engler, I think that's so great. It's nice to meet Josh. I understand that's through Boise State. This connection of networking. And throughout the years, just recognize, it's impressive. They have to want to be there. But the effort that they put into elevating their thinking, elevating their expectations of themselves, and I would say all of the individuals involved from Boise State, especially Josh, it's just the encouragement that they can do this work. That they can go on. And I think we're all a little bit awestruck when you walk into the room. I don't know if you've been into their room, and you see all of the map and where everyone's going to college that they've been influenced or they've had the opportunity to be in Upward Bound. We were able to expand the program through a grant through Boise State, and they've reached out to us so that we can expand it into the middle school. Nice. Because we know that middle schoolers make a lot of choices about going on or not. So making sure that Upward Bound is in the middle school, Upward Bound is at Canyon Springs, to reach out to see a different ending to their high school. It's that post-secondary. So it wasn't just to graduate, but they're graduating with a purpose to move on, to go on to the post-secondary.
Right.
That's the beauty of Upward Bound. So I feel like we are a recipient of a great gift. And the students think what the impact that is for our community when a student returns to Caldwell with a degree from, whether it's the University of Idaho or Columbia, that impact for generations. So not only does that impact their parents, but it impacts, their posterity or their extended family because of their example.
Right. changes their family tree almost, right?
It does.
One thing I'd like to highlight is the fact that I know at the city level we appreciate this too, but Boys and Girls Club is using your Indian Creek Academy building and does great things. I know they have a feeding program, they have a preschool, they have just after school programs there and throughout the district. And can you just tell us about how that came to be and how that's benefiting, I guess, your students?
Oh yeah, I think that's part of the community partnership. So, and maybe that's just the gift of Lynn Caldwell. So, Boys and Girls Club, Melissa Gentry calls, introduces herself. They're looking for a place. Well, we have a place. Of course we have a place. Of course we'd love Boys and Girls Club. Just having that, that, hi, this is who we are. And I would readily admit, I was surprised that Caldwell didn't have a Boys and Girls Club prior to just a few years ago. So when Melissa Gentry reached out, we found space. And then as we connect with her and our staff and realize we can offer Boys and Girls Club elementary schools, after school. Our goal is to see like 250 students attending Boys and Girls Club in Caldwell. And the last report, we either are on tap, and the Boys and Girls Club has now changed their name from Boys and Girls Club of Nampa to Boys and Girls Club of Canyon County, and they just see that expanding more. The benefit to our parents, we had a parent from Washington Elementary come speak to the board for the Boys and Girls Club and just share that without the Boys and Girls Club, she could not hold the job because she wasn't sure where her children would go and be safe.
Right.
So think of the impact. This parent can pay $25 for the year because of donors and individuals who will sponsor a champion. They're a champion and they'll sponsor a child. Because of those donations, this mother can pay $25 a year and know that her children are safe, and she can work at St. Luke's, a job to help support her family. And that's like every parent has a story like that. And Boys and Girls Club is so positive. When we had the hot air balloon, I don't know if you were aware, but they had a hot air balloon out here this summer. No one rode up in the hot air. But how many people get to experience that? And that's what Boys and Girls Club is, bringing those experiences for the children of Caldwell.
Right. Yeah. So is there anything else positive or just things that you wanted to plug that the district is doing now or maybe in the future that you wanted to talk about at all?
Of course.
Okay. Sure.
I'm a fan of early learning.
Okay.
I don't know, as an 8th grade teacher myself, I don't know if I understood the impact, how important it is that those years, birth to 5, but then the influence of a good preschool program, 3 to 5. A few years ago, actually 2016-17, we reached out to YCAP, Head Start, visited with them about partnering. How do we provide more opportunities for the families of Caldwell to access affordable preschool? Visited with the YMCA. YMCA was already invested in Caldwell, and just there was a disconnect. So everyone had their own programs.
Right.
So coming together in more of a collaborative effort to say, what can we do to provide more affordable preschool programs for the children of Caldwell? And I think it's significant, because you may have a child, let's say a child that's that has a language delay, but through a quality preschool program, we have data, because we know children who have gained language skills. I mean, they can hear their peers speaking, they start to communicate, and just that impact, also preparing them for kindergarten, better attendance throughout their school, more confidence in their ability to learn. So yeah, I'm a fan of early learning, and we'll continue our partnerships with the YMCA, with Head Start, reach out, start having more discussions with the Boys and Girls Club,
Right.
and what we can do to provide even a broader opportunity.
Get them young.
Mm-hmm. Well, sure, because that's their brains are developing, and they're just pulling in all of that information, storing it. It's so important, and they want to learn. They're excited about reading. The alphabet means something. They're so all in. Now's the time to help them develop those skills so that they become good readers and confident learners.
Right. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Was there any last thing that you wanted to plug or mention or bring up?
The collaborative work, I didn't necessarily experience that previously. Caldwell is a special place. When you drive into Caldwell, you're going to be passing Brothers Park, right? It says Brothers Park, YMCA, Caldwell High School. It all says we believe in youth. If you come in another direction, you'll see Fairgrounds, College of Idaho. Obviously, we're sending a message that our youth are important to us as a community, and education's important to us as a community. Just need to keep that message out there that this is every child. Every child deserves to be literate. How do we best do that? Together, families, community members, and as a school district.
Okay. Well, Dr. French, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to just tell us who you are, get to know you a little bit better, and just to tell us what's going on at the district level. And yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.